No, it is not simple. If you have a car radio that does not have RCA inputs for an amp, you're going to need a converter for that. And this particular RCA converter I'm using is from Kicker. It's a pretty popular brand, very inexpensive. I think this was less than $20. If you're doing a two channel, obviously you would need just this one, but I'm doing a four channel, so I'm using two. And what this is doing is taking the out from your speakers, from your speaker wire harness, and it goes into this converter, which converts it to RCA. Your RCA then plugs into your amplifier right here. Oops, out of focus. Right here. And then comes out of your amplifier here. And this is where your speaker wire plugs in and runs to your speakers. So you'll see one set of wires, two sets of wires, three sets of wires, four sets of wires. So that's how this particular converter works. Now you're going to have a hotline that goes directly to your battery. You're going to have a ground that can either go directly to your battery or it can go to the frame. But my battery is grounded, so I'm good. I can run directly to the battery. But you want to ground it to the frame. So that's what we're doing. Now, how do you know that this should work? I'll explain. When I hooked my radio up to not spend a bunch of money on music, because that's just not where I spend a lot of money, but I will spend what I have to. I tried the radio. The radio I have is a retro sound radio. It's made to look just like the radios from the 1960s, but it has Bluetooth and all of that good stuff. I hooked it up to see what it sounded like, and I didn't like the speakers or the power. So I replaced my speakers, which is another video, and I went from a two-phase speaker to a four-phase speaker, where the tweeter, the woofer, all of that is in one speaker. And I placed those in the car, and when I ran it through these wires out of this harness, I still didn't like the sound. So after upgrading the speakers, I didn't like the sound. So then I said, okay, I'm going to have to amplify this. So I got an amplifier, but all I had was speaker wire and nowhere for the RCA to plug in. The only RCA that was on there was for a subwoofer. So this is the unit that I found. I went to Guitar Center and asked. I unplugged the harness and took the harness up there, showed them what my harness was, and they told me this is what I needed. Subsequently, I found a lot of videos on YouTube about how to do it, but generally they don't really show you 100%, and it's some things that still don't quite make a lot of sense. This is supposed to be the ground wire, but it says you don't need it. So if you don't need it, why is it here? So before I remove it, I'm just going to leave it there. If when I plug it in, it sounds like it needs to be grounded, I'll ground it. If not, I'll just keep it pushing. But you see, it comes with two gray wires and two white wires. One is positive, one is negative. The negative wire has a black stripe on it. And you connect those. Now, because this is a harness they couldn't have, it would be hard to tell the two different, so they're all color coded. But on the second one, it's the same setup, gray and white. So gray and white is going to go to, sorry, gray and white is going to go to purple and green. And this makes the 4 channels right here. So I've already run RCA cables. I took all of the interior out, and I've already run RCA cables under the carpet to the front of the car. So obviously here's one RCA cable, there's the second, and it plugs into the radio under here. That little blue right there is the back of the radio, right? So once that's hanging down, I'll plug these in, tuck all the wires under the dash, pull out so you can see we're under the dash, tuck under the wires under there, and that plugging in these two RCAs should, those go all the way back through the back of the car to here, where you also see one RCA set, another RCA set that plugs into the back of here. And my radio switch is this blue wire. This cuts the amp on. Whoop, sorry about that. This cuts the amp on. The blue wire cuts the amp on when the car cuts on. And that blue wire is right here. And that ties into this wire. Well, it may be under the dash already. Wait a minute. Let me see. It is already under the dash. Where is that blue wire? Where is the blue wire? Here's the blue wire. So that ties into that, and that automatically goes into the harness, and that cuts on that I splice into that wire, and that cuts on the amp when the car cuts on, so the radio and the amp cuts on at the same time. So what I'm going to do is splice this second one up. Oops. Just like I spliced the first one. And we should be ready to roll.